Gang, what's up, boys?
Quarter talk this podcast shit.
Scott, you have GameStop this week in honor of your Wolf of Wall Street-esque play in the markets. This, you just said off air, maybe your last cheeky midweeky on account of you being too rich to partake.
This is true. This could be the last one before I enter the upper echelon of the powers that be.
You've always been the upper echelon in my heart. But let's crack on, boys. So, topic that we came up with today is how do you know when it's time to leave a job? And TK kind of rightly pointed out that I think everyone on this call has left a job in the last 6 months, including JJ, and some of us for better reasons than others. But someone suggested that I start the ball rolling, so I've left. Let me think. I'll just open the kimono. So in year one, so my internship year, there was no job for me to move up into. It didn't exist at the time when I was at London Wasps. And I got offered the chance to interview for London Scottish. So drop down a level and then basically like head up that job, which is a pretty outrageous job for a 26-year-old. So I interviewed over like 2 weeks. I filled in for 2 weeks, did the job. And they said, oh, you want to interview for the job? And I was basically told like, this is your job to lose. Don't fuck it up, all this kind of stuff. And I interviewed and they're like, oh, we'll get back to you Friday afternoon. And it got to like Sunday and I'd still not heard anything. And it turned out they gave the job to the head coach's best friend. And he's like, oh, we can't take you on as the head, but we can offer you an assistant position for $4,000. And it was like a lot of hours for $4,000. He goes, oh, it might be able to make it 8 though. So I was like, 1, I need the money. And 2, I'm going to try and like prove that I deserve the head job. And also maybe I'm going to learn by being an assistant in this job. So in the second year, I started being an assistant there. It obviously turned out to be $4,000. It wasn't $8,000. And I was supposed to do it for a year. And I think I walked by February. So like a July, August start, left by February. And I remember it's because I was like on a mad kick with Tim Ferriss at the time. That was when I discovered the 4-hour work week. And there's a whole chapter there about the Pareto principle where 80% of your problems come from 20% of, issues. And that was definitely the 20%. It was like all the travel, all the hassle, all the like disorganization. It came from that team. And I was like, really, for $4,000, it's like, should I really beat myself up with that when I could just double down on Wasps, working for Tappers, had the freedom, stuff like that. So I kind of like took on the chin to not have the money and not have the opportunity. And I guess it kind of worked out. And obviously, when I went to Rotherham, I think it was just over a year and a bit later to be the head. London Scottish, last game of the year, we put a bonus point on them. So that was a good one. And he admitted to TK's former boss that not hiring me was a big regret. So I'll take that one. And then let me think. I mean, leaving Wasps, it was just like, because I was going to Australia. So that wasn't difficult. Sydney Roosters, probably the hardest one to leave just because I didn't have a job to go to when I left. And it was the best rugby league club in the world to work at, money-wise, lifestyle-wise. Like the athletes that I was working with, they were the current champions, all that kind of stuff. And, I've like talked a bunch about other places, but for me, it was the moment that I caught myself where I was working out how much I was saving per week and how many more weeks I thought I could tolerate or how much longer I'd have to work to save up X amount so I could go off and do what I wanted to do. And I do remember that being a moment where if I'm going through that mental process already, it's time to leave. Because again, it's like one of those things where you can make money a million ways in this life, and being a strength coach is a poor way to do it. And I think one of the things that in my career, I loved it that much that I would do it for no money. I have done it for no money. So to find myself staying only for the money, that was the time that I knew it was right to leave. And I kind of like promised myself like I'd rather be on the street than hanging around just to cash a check. And then the last one really was Japan. I'm sure they wouldn't have fired me, but they definitely weren't going to renew me. But it was just because I was difficult. That was one note that I wrote down that year. I think year 1 or year 2 was sometimes doing your job to the best of your ability shortens your tenure. And Scott, I've had that conversation with you at another institution. And yeah, man, it was just like I ran out of enjoyment. And I thought, yeah, time for a change. So it just goes back to like the four P's for me, like pay, personal, purpose, professional advancement. And I think I've said it elsewhere. You can go in and have all 4. And then as you learn more about an environment, as your circumstances change, it just dwindles down to like 4, 3, 2, 1. And fuck, if you got 1, time to go. So that was me.
I'll jump in since our paths coincided with all of us leaving. But I mean, every step before my last stop was just career advancement and made sense. So from internship to GA to a full-time position. And then the last one was interesting because we were in the middle of a pandemic. We're still working towards the fall and what we think it's going to look like and trying to put together this acclimatization plan. And really kind of, I had enough people, I don't know, hear what you had, but enough people reaching out that were like interested in how we were going to approach it because of what the perception was of how we were doing the job at William & Mary. Mm-hmm. And it all started to time up with, a joke that I got my job at Arizona off of Instagram because that's what started the conversation with my last boss was that I posted something that I did in GPS and he DM'd me saying he was looking for somebody that could do that. And it felt kind of like a flirtation with a chick when you're in a relationship. But I'd also thought I owed it to myself at that point to, at least interview and kind of get myself at least the practice of interview and going through it. And then we had the big meeting to where we were effectively told that because a minority of coaches found us difficult to work with, that we were effectively getting the mission that we had come there for cut off on us. And even then it was still like going into that meeting, I was still 50-50 on whether or not to really actively pursue the job with Arizona football because it was Power 5 opportunity, chance to narrow my focus, work at a higher level. Like it ticked a lot of boxes, but I still felt a lot of purpose in the work that we were doing there. And it's always come back to the people for me because I worked with people that understood the big picture and gave me autonomy and are still some of my closest friends and people that I'll be friends with for life. And leaving that was difficult to consider because it had always been that, I thought we would go off and all keep working together for some time. But so we had that meeting and had the mission axed on us, and it was like a 24-hour just of shifting from 50-50 to like 90-10, I've got to go. And even to the point that Kier called me because he found out about the potential opportunity at Arizona.
Kier knows all. You can't hide it from
He found out through one of our colleagues that it was potentially on the table and called me and cussed me out for not pursuing it. But again, I think that speaks to, I appreciated the work that we did together and the relationships that we had kind of built. As much as it sucked there was kind of misery loved its company, and we had a blast doing it. And venturing out from that really sucked. But again, it boiled down to, for me, it was an opportunity to, rather than be a mile wide and an inch deep with my work, it was a chance to be an inch wide and a mile deep. And that, it really did enable me to get better at my craft around GPS and tactical periodization and go a lot deeper with that and gain a much deeper understanding of something that I'd only glossed the surface on. So, and then knowing what was coming down the pipe with Kier and Eric getting out and everyone else kind of making their plans to jump ship, it made sense for me to cover my own ass and move on. But again, I think it was that same thing where it was, we had a lot of lip service paid to how great we were and how much we were the standard for the athletic department. But that's all it ever was lip service. And then at the end, when push came to shove, because a minority of coaches found us difficult to work with because we stood for what we believed was true and did our jobs with conviction, that wasn't enough to want to retain us. And so on and up.
I mean, the actual conversation was 30% of the coaches that you work with find you difficult and difficult to deal with. And I was like, that's the 30% that you need to fire.
which also neglects the fact that 70% don't find us that way. But okay.
Hey,
I digress.
You want to be fucking like, bro, sell ice cream.
Yep.
Young Terrence.
I'll just go with the most recent one. So I think from the optics for most people and like people who know me or maybe know the social media, whatever, thought it was very weird for me to essentially jump ship and leave what is like considered like the big four of like professional sport in the US, being in baseball, and they go to professional women's soccer. Most people were confused or shocked. They weren't sure if I was leaving just because my boss left, which that plays a factor in it. And essentially it came down to the fact that like, I mean, I knew it was a means to an end anyway, because I don't have a passion for baseball at all. I can appreciate the intellectual challenge of it and like the actual sport itself and like the outputs and how different it is and how it needs are very different. But I'm not sure just enjoying the sport truly as like a fan like that. Like I didn't have appreciation for it in the slightest. I had no desire to go to the playoffs or the World Series, even though our tickets were basically free. Like I couldn't even convince my parents to go. Like I told them I'd give them the tickets. They didn't even want to go. So because of that, and I knew there was situations of with the club I was at with the Astros, like the pay was awful. So like the pay wasn't there. Purpose definitely was that because I did enjoy the players. I enjoyed seeing the process of players developing from, being signed at 16 years old out of Venezuela or being drafted out of some small college or making to the big leagues. So that purpose was definitely there, but professional growth didn't exist because I had no desire to work in a major league strength coach, and essentially like the way it was currently being run, like you're a yes man to the players at all times. There was no real challenging going on. I had no desire to do my boss's job because his job was more of a true director role and was very much an admin. He did do some coaching, did do programming, but it was very much an admin overseeing 14 or 15 other strength coaches. And I was like a lot of conversations and meetings I would never want to be a part of, or at least not at this point in my career.
That used to kill me. Like I mean, when I started at Richmond, I've said publicly, they paid me 14 grand. And I didn't mind to begin with because I never had meetings because I was like the bottom rung of the ladder. And to not have to go from, bro, you have to have a meeting to wipe your ass in Tokyo. To go to that, to no meetings, I was just like, yo.
So it was like, so I didn't want that job. So I knew I needed to get out. And I knew I wanted to get into a sport that I would just enjoy more generally. There was a bit of professional growth. There was a chance to be in charge as well. Like I was at a point where I felt like, okay, I need to be ahead. Like the things I complain about, have issues with, it's like I could do it my way and show like, am I right or am I a fucking idiot? And so that's what I found out is to jump at opportunity to be in charge of yourself and put it out there that you're not ahead, and if things fail, it's going to be on your back, like to a point. So that was a big part of me leaving. And then also like getting paid way more money definitely helps because Astros paid terribly. Like I will happily say that publicly to anybody. It's one of the worst paying organizations. So like you will learn a ton, but the running joke is you work there for 2 years, you leave and you'll get paid almost double somewhere else. Like that's what you do.
All right, that's Exos. You do Exos for the job after.
Yeah.
No, I think it's like for you, I think it's definitely like the right time in your career because you've probably wanted to put on the big boy pants for like 2 or 3 years now. But if it's pretty rare that someone, what are you like 26, 27? 27. You're probably not going to be a 27-year-old head in like one of the big four sports or like at men's level. Nothing against women's sport, but it's considered like a lower level job. But it's like in terms of think the stage of your career that you're at and the pay, it's like a perfect opportunity to dip a toe because, for example, name a head strength coach that bombed in women's pro soccer. You know, people are going to name 20 guys that messed it up in football and baseball and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I think it's like the right kind of opportunity for you right now. So
I did tell as well that they weren't. If I had stayed after my boss had left, even if I wasn't get a chance to do his job, they were going to restructure it. Like I could kind of see writing on the wall that it was going to be like maybe I just go back to like minor league coordinator because it would be beneath the major league strength coaches to have to listen to me, even though realistically, like I'll have to say like they're the two worst coaches in our organization by far. So like but it would be seen beneath them for me to be their boss. Like that's what it kind of comes down to. And so I kind of knew that was going to come if I did stay anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to be a pay increase either, so it wouldn't be worth the money. It wouldn't be worth the time it would take.
So Zach is actually joining us from a shelter for battered assistants. Zach, you've just started a new job. What prompted you to go to Ole Miss besides the outrageous increase in pay, profile, and autonomy? Feel free to turn on your mic anytime, bro. Jesus.
Sorry, I'm trying to, it's either you got two things: me turn on my mic late, or all the background noise other people talk. So
to be honest, you're doing pretty good this week because you haven't frozen once.
Hey, baby steps, fellas. Just like LTAD, it comes in Zoom chats too. Anyways, for me, honestly, I remember having a similar conversation with Kiera, I guess a couple of years ago now, about the 4P, things like that. You're probably in collegiate football. If you get all four, you better hold on tight and pray you win, because the reality you're going to get all four is slim to fucking none. So for me, it's just kind of, when thinking about it, it's kind of like, what are you willing to compromise on it? And early on in the career, like more than likely for a long time, it's going to be pay. So you got to find, like for me, there are a lot of places I've been, it's been about maybe profile for the next job. If I go here for this job, I can turn this into something else or whatever. And then you get to the point to where now, like, okay, if I go and do this job and I give up this, I'll get this in the back end. But at some point, you end up burning the candle at both ends. With what I've found, where now I've learned what I've come to learn, and now it's okay. How the hell do I get out? Because I remember having this conversation with Karis where I'm having the same conversations. It's like deja vu where I'm repeating conversations. Okay, now like I came to learn and I came to get the experience, and I'm not getting it anymore. And so the other things that you're willing to compromise on, like, they're just so much more magnified to where now it's not even tolerable. Where now you're compromising who you are as a person and who you are in virtue and your virtues as a person and your principles and things like that. And there's other pieces too that I don't necessarily want to get into. But when you start questioning like you as a person, like my ability to coach, my abilities, am I a good person? Or like all these different pieces too that you shouldn't have to ask professionally because there's so much more to it. That's for me when it comes to, and I also know the type of person, like for me, like I'm a bit of a restless person. Like I grew up in moving out of boxes and things like that. So even as a coach, like for me, like I don't like being stuck in one place for too long. So like I'll probably never be in a place for like 8, 10, 15 years if you see some of these coaches. Like, I just not my personality. But for me, it's always been about, okay, what's the end goal of being at said place? And then do you fulfill it? And once it's fulfilled, okay, it's time to go, because the reality is some point, like your act's going to wear thin, whether it's good or bad. And, some people don't like, in this profession, like they don't like, I wouldn't say like consistency is the wrong word, but I don't know. It's hard for me to put a word on, but like for me, it's just, that's the biggest thing for me.
There it is.
Right on cue. I'm back. I'm back, baby. Yeah, sorry. So for me, it's just. So for me, the biggest thing I look for in the next job, when I was really, okay, like this is, I'm gonna flip burgers. Like this is the only other option I have. Is I'm gonna flip burgers or I'm gonna find something else. towards, okay, I don't necessarily need the autonomy. Like, I know a few things professionally that make me happy that I like doing, but now it's time for me, okay, I want to align myself with like good people. If I can align myself with good people, I'm willing to tolerate a lot of the other stuff. And that's a lot of conversations me and Kier had kind of going forward. And then also talking to TJ kind of over the last like couple of years with it. So like, I know it's kind of long-winded, but like for me, it's just, that was kind of like my biggest thing. Okay, I come to get what I got, and I got it. And what are the next goals? What am I willing to compromise, and what am I willing to do to get what I want? So that was kind of the end goal for me.
I mean, you kind of like touched on it with your sound quality is terrible. Yeah, like one of the things that I always wondered, and I never got to find out, is, but like you touched on it, like people staying in roles for like 10, 15, 20 years. Because like you said, up until environment, and you know within a couple of years whether it's going to happen or not, whether you're going to win a championship, whether you're going to win. And I do kind of like wonder what happens after like year 3 or 4. The writing's on the wall is clearly not going to happen. I'm not sure if I could just sit there and like hang around and wait for it to happen. So I do think if you're going to be somewhere for 20 years, you better have a whole bunch of championships to show for it. I'm not sure if it was for me, but yeah, JJ.
I mean, it's probably what you mentioned, how you can rapidly go from, 3 or 4 of the P's, and then it can deteriorate through the same job. And I guess you quickly unsettle people when you change a lot really fast. So that was probably one of the factors. And then I probably was in the job for long enough, needed to do something else. And it just sort of coincided with job opportunity, i.e. a message from you. Do you want a job? Or I think more specifically it was, do you want a job, cunt? And then...
You say that quite a lot.
And yeah, it was just, in terms of weighing it up, it wasn't a difficult decision.
Bro, that's one thing I found is like, in a couple of ways. One is how people treat you, and the other is pay, which is, rightly or wrongly, wherever you tend to start in an organization, a lot of people will always view you as that level, or like in terms of your development or your value to that organization, regardless of how high you climb. And it's uncomfortable to do, but the easiest way for people to take you seriously and to get paid more is to move organizations, because you can double your salary, TK, jumping jobs. But if you were to walk into the office of the Astros tomorrow and say, hey, I'm way better than I was 2 years ago, double my salary, they'd laugh you out of the room. So it's like that kind of like incremental thing of like, is he worth it? Is he worth it? Is he worth it? Whereas you can walk into a new environment and kind of like set the tone of how people perceive you from day one. In terms of pay, you can do that as well, and kind of like people's contribution. Yeah, man, very interesting. All right, let's get to the fun shit. Pull up the sandwich chart. Was this you who suggested this, TK?
That was me, bro.
Was it Scott?
Of course, it was Scott.
I've also got one for bald-headed kids for next week.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna have to let me share my screen, dude.
Terrence is like, what the hell is this guy got?
Oh, let me get it up.
Bald-headed kids.
Hang on, TK. I'll send it in the cheeky midweeky chat.
Oh my Lord.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Here we go. Okay, we got the sandwich alignment chart. We have structure and ingredient matrix. We're going from purist to neutral to rebel on both. Zachary, seeing as all you do is fucking text about food in Mississippi.
Gas station food, no less.
Gas station food. Apparently, a trip to the gas station is considered fine dining in Mississippi. Where do you sit on the sandwich maker?
You talk about Mississippi like that.
First off, one of the best cheese grits place you will ever get comes at the Chevron on Jackson Avenue, Oxford, Mississippi. Secondly, nowhere in the world can you get the most moist, tender chicken on a stick while you get a bag of Takis and like 10 gallons of gas to fill the truck up while you wait.
It's almost worth the horrendous increase in all-cause mortality.
Related note, I had my first bag of Takis this week, Zach, because I got ripped by the girl I'm seeing for not knowing what Takis were and being in Southwest America.
Well,
what's that?
Congrats to being a rock star away from Mexico. Somebody's gonna ask you what Takis are. So anyway.
Oh, he's just cut out for a change. TK, where do you sit on the
I had to pick sandwich on.
all that good food in Mississippi and a $19.95 dial-up internet connection. TK.
Hilarious.
I think he's back.
Hey, am I back? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I'm probably ingredient rebel and structure rebel because I don't really fuck with sandwiches like that. Now ice cream cookie sandwich, I fuck that shit up all day. But I'm not beating Subway and shit.
Dude, so you're radical sandwich anarchy then.
You are going to get real close to a bathroom though, I'll tell you that for a fact.
Oh yeah. Lactose intolerance.
me and TK ate a pizza last July in West Palm. It's probably 30-minute walk home. We ate this pizza, started walking home, just see the walking speed increase and get the
danger zone.
Hey, Kier, do you remember our short walk to the beach?
It was 3 blocks. It was 3 blocks.
It was not 3 blocks.
There were three big ass Florida blocks, and we had to walk past the entire yacht. But it was 3 blocks.
My drunk ass thought
Bro, you need a new internet connection, goddamn. But
anyway, it was tough.
Can we start a GoFundMe for Zach's internet? Sponsored by Team Builder and GameStop.
To the moon.
Get what's that website where you make commitments? Patreon. We'll have levels. The entry level is he has to get broadband, and then if we get a 10K surplus, we can get him AirPods. Zach, I swear to God, bro, we're gonna get through this question. Where are you on the Matrix?
I am. Let's see. I gotta look at the damn thing again. It's frozen so much I damn forgot. I'm a structural purist with the ingredient neutral. Long as there are 2 buns, 2 breads, whatever the hell you want to get it, you put whatever the hell you want in between.
How are you? What's your favorite sandwich?
Oh shit, favorite sandwich. Steak sandwich from what's the damn place called? So there was a diner when I lived in Monroe, Louisiana, across the bayou that you could actually drive your boat to, and it was a ribeye. It was the ribeye on a Kaiser sandwich bun. Best sandwich I've ever had.
All right. Did you go back in time to get this sandwich? You had to go to a diner across the bayou in a boat.
I think hey, sentence of the day. Scott.
Dude, I probably got to go with.
Hey, go ahead.
I'm probably a structural neutral ingredient rebel.
Drinking. You're a structural what?
Structural neutral ingredient rebel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Example.
I think they all speak to themselves. Actually, yeah, I would go with that. If I were to I wouldn't say ice cream taco. I'd probably just call it an ice cream sandwich and be done with it. I wouldn't think twice about it. It's just.
What would you consider a Portillo's to be?
That's an Italian beef sandwich.
So what's that? That's going to be.
You're probably looking at. That's an ingredient purist.
Nah, it's got to be neutral, bro. Come on.
No, bro, Italian beef. You're talking about peppers, your giardiniera, your cheese. Like, it's just a hot sandwich.
What's giardiniera?
Giardiniera is like celery and carrot and onion and.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bro, one of my proudest moments was bringing you and Corum to Portillo's. It felt like just welcoming you into my family.
Yeah, bro.
What about that?
We went back to the hotel. Corum's calling the fucking ambulance because he can't handle his carbs.
What about the that cookie ice cream sandwich from Insomnia Cookies at 11:30 at night in Manhattan?
Bro, we have Insomnia Cookies here in Tucson, and I fucked that shit up.
Bro, we took a photo of that and
in Austin.
We sent it to the D line. William and Mary. He's like,
oh yeah,
400 pounds. Oh dog.
No, bro, I put up a picture of Insomnia Cookies when we were at JMU with lacrosse, and within 5 minutes, I had a DM. Bro, where this at?
JJ.
Insomnia Cookies is fire.
Oh, I definitely would probably be same as Zach. Structure purist, ingredient rebel. As long as it's 2 pieces.
Oh yeah.
You know you're not picky about food, JJ.
Yeah.
No, he is.
Unless you put 20 marshmallows in my coffee and fucking half a pint of milk.
You are fucking soft. Bro, I used to toy firing you about 5 times a day. Just 2 seconds.
Remember we had his vitals written on the mirror?
His vitals.
The boys would come in. Either it was going to be either a great Friday session if his weight was up, or they were just heated if his weight was down at all. They literally lived and died. Our tactical periodization was based on JJ's weight.
I mean,
I take it for the team.
I put a lot of pressure on him. Even though as an intern, I said, listen, the culture of this organization rises and falls with the number that you see on the scale. Don't let me down.
Bro, what a summer.
It was tremendous. I listen, bro. I had a chicken biscuit the other day that was absolutely fuego. That's probably going to be structure. Let me think.
See, that's not a sandwich. That's not a sandwich.
But neither is ice cream. So I'm saying ingredient rebel neutral, structure neutral.
I think ingredient neutral because like just chickens, like chicken sandwich is normal.
It's pretty good though.
It's probably a structure rebel. I fuck with biscuits.
You know what I fuck with, Terrence? Team Builder. It's a tremendous online platform for organizing and programming for your athletes. Wherever you are in the world, no paper, no more excuses. It is the solution. Buy Team Builder at teambuilder.com.